it stores as patterns our early childhood experiences and then directs everything we experience through those patterns. And to me, it was like a light bulb went on. I thought, this is it.
Why did I not know, as a minister, why did I not know that heart belief was there? Can you elaborate?
The number one reason it's hidden is because it's painful. That you can't kill a tree by picking the fruit. So you have to go for the root.
Yeah.
And the root is, what do you believe here?
Hey, everybody, this is Noe with Walk with Yah. Back again. Ended the live streams, but there is still a lot of information to share. And this is going to be a special time for us. Yes, because I'm here, of course, and because you're here, but I have a special guest. And so I have Susan Bowman with us tonight of the Pool Ministries. And I've known Susan since 2021, and she is just a wealth of knowledge. She does things a little bit differently than I do, which is, to me, is very refreshing because I don't know everything. And but I like to see how other people do, their healing. And Susan is just a gem. And so we're going to hear what she has to say tonight. It's some really good stuff. And then we'll just get into it. But I want to share some stuff about me as well. But first, we're going to start with, I'll introduce Susan. Hey, Susan, thank you for being with us.
Hey, Noe, thank you for having me.
So, Susan, I'm kind of curious. Again, your ministry's different the way I see it. Maybe it's not to other people. But I was kind of wondering, how did you get into ministry? And how long have you been doing this type of ministry?
I am currently writing a new book, so I had to go look, because in this particular book, I'm sharing some of my personal experiences with the supernatural realm. So I wanted to see how long I had been, first, a Christian. I was 26 years old when I was saved. And secondly, how long have I been a minister of inner healing and deliverance? So that started 20 years ago. I was figuring that up today. And so, yeah, I've been in ministry, 25 years ago. So, yeah, in ministry 25 years. Of course, when you start out, you spend most of your time training and practicing on whoever will be still long enough to let you practice on.
Yes.
So do you want to know how the Pool Ministry developed its particular approach to inner healing? That came later. I trained with Elijah House. I trained with Thrive Ministries, Thrive Today Ministries. I trained with Jim Wilder's ministry. He's a Christian psychologist. Trained with Carl Lehman's ministry. He's a Christian psychiatrist. And then, of course, trained with, followed other ministries like Mark Verkler, Hearing the Voice of God, and what most really serious Christians that are diving into more. I did that too, but most of my training is Elijah House. I did train with Charles Kraft. I did train with Ed Smith Theophostic. So I kind of trained, and of course Arthur Burke, Paul Cox. Trained with Tom Hawkins. He was one of my very first mentors. He's with Jesus now. So I've always like I've always wanted to know, what do they know? And out of all of that, I became extremely frustrated because the people I was working with and the people that I met were using these techniques and these skills. And yes, they were getting some freedom, but they weren't sustaining freedom. Well, a friend of mine ran across some scientific papers written by Roland McCready, and I can't think of the other guy's name. Anyway, they are medical researchers specializing in cardiology and neurology, and they developed a field of medical science called neurocardiology, and they began to study the physical human heart. And what they were learning just from looking at it from a secular perspective is that the physical human heart has its own brain, and that what and that it stores as patterns our early childhood experiences, and then directs everything we experience through those patterns. And to me, that was like a light bulb went on. I thought, this is it. If we, and of course, scripture really backs that up. And we can get into that later if you want to, Noe. But at that point, I realized why people weren't sustaining their healing. It's because they were not dealing with the belief systems, what I call it, the heart belief system. They weren't dealing with that. They were dealing with the mind, they were dealing with the soul, they were dealing with the spirit, all good things, all necessary things. But until the heart, which stores what we actually believe, Romans 10:10, we believe with the heart, until the heart is addressed and what it is storing there is brought into the light, and we can see that the patterns that in my life were laid down from the womb to about 7 years old, maybe. And then, of course, there's a generational flavor to those patterns. And if I can't learn how to access my heart, if I don't develop an understanding of its job and why it does what it does, and how to know when something that happened in childhood is twisting the perspective of what is happening in the moment, then and then how to not just recognize it, although that's the first step. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't know that there's a problem. How do I solve that problem? How do I work with the Holy Spirit to access my heart belief system and actually change it so that my heart is functioning the way that it's designed to function by God, to root and ground us in His love and grace, instead of rooting and grounding us in the pain and what we believed about ourselves when we were very small children. So that was a turning point for me. And from then on, my focus went to that. Now, I can minister to the soul, and there's certainly times you need to minister to the soul. It's very important. I can minister to the human spirit and by the human spirit, if that's called for, and that's very helpful. But if the heart doesn't agree with the work that you've done, then the work that you've done is not going to be sustainable. So, in a nutshell, that's what got me started on the heart. I have seen remarkable changes in people's ability to sustain the work they've done, my own ability to sustain it. Even my husband, who kind of eyeballed this like, well, what are you doing now, Susan? Said just the other day about how the difference that working on our hearts has made for our relationship and for the peace, our interior peace. We have enough chaos going on outside in the fallen world, and we don't really have control over that. But if we can quiet our heart so that there's not chaos coming from the inside, you're still not in a perfect world, but at least you're able to endure with courage and hope the world that we are in.
So with me, because with my audience, I've been, focusing a lot on the redemptive gifts, mostly learning that information from Arthur Burke at the Sapphire Leadership Group. And, there's no one tool that's the answer for everything, but, and that teaching is so massive that I've taken, years to kind of really study that, and still kind of feel, like there's still so much more to learn. And so for me, again, a lot of good stuff there. And I knew when I came to you, I don't know, 3 weeks, a month ago, I was like, Susan, I just feel like I'm missing something. Like I know there's something else that's there.
Mhm.
And like I wasn't connecting with my human spirit as much. I was getting snippets and, knew it was there. Um, And so you were like, hey, can I minister to you? And as deliverance minister, sanctification minister, I know that I'm still not 100%. There's still things that have to be dealt with. Yeah, for all of us. And you were so gracious enough to say, hey, let's get together and meet. And so we did. And I had read some of your material, your books, even sat with you in some sessions, and kind of had an understanding. I'm like, this is really good. This is really good stuff. And until we got into the session, though, when you were ministering to me, like you were throwing out some truth bombs that were just hitting me very hard. I'm like, my gosh, this is very, very important. Like, uh, and so that's one reason why I wanted to bring you on here to explain this, because I do think there's a lot of people that need to know about their heart, how it works, why people may get um, some victories. They may win some battles for a little while, but then it's not sustained. And so this was a real good reason why I wanted to have you here, because I think that, with all your books and stuff and all your knowledge, it's just, again, we're both trying to people set free, trying to share what we know, because we know that the battle is real. And, many times, more often than not, there's a spiritual component to it. And so now, so with that, I'm going to ask, what do you mean by the heart? And how does your approach differ than other, heart ministries, if you will? Yes, I did air quotes for those that'll make fun of me later. And so,
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
such as like, heart sync or like that. How do you
Right.
differ than others? But yes, let's start with those two questions.
Okay. Okay. I really don't know a tremendous amount of heart sync. I did have some friends that went through the school, and they did minister uh, to me to let me know what it was like, and it was helpful as far as identifying what was going on with me at that time. I think it takes the four chambers of the heart approach. It seems to me to be more of a structure than it does to be an actual reality, but I could be wrong. I'm going to be wrong. And, if people are, I mean, everybody out there, most of us, our motive is to help people. So, and a lot of people are doing a lot of good work. But the difference with the Pool Ministries approach to heart healing is, well, first, we don't really heal the heart. That's not what we're looking to do. What we're looking to do is to identify what is believed and stored by the heart, and bring that into the light and present it to the Lord. It actually is a very methodical approach. And I think the reason that I developed a very step by step methodical approach is because when you start tapping into what is stored in your heart belief system, it becomes very messy and very confusing, because the heart is designed by God to manage our perception of reality and wants to stabilize us in a stable perception of reality. And sadly, because of the fall, nothing's stable. So, what the heart will do is stabilizes into anything that resolves the confusion. So, if you start tapping into what you believe in your heart, then confusion is inevitably a component of that. And that freaks people out. And they're like, this is too crazy. I can't do this. This is too hard. And that's just because what's already there is now surfacing. And so a methodical approach to it, I think, helps impose order over the confusion. It makes it easier to do the work. Okay, to answer your first question, what do I mean by the heart? I am talking about the physical heart. The physical heart is mentioned 750 times plus in the Bible. The Hebrew word for heart is leb. It means the physical heart. The Greek word is cardia, which is where we get cardiology from, and it means the physical heart. Uh, and the scientist that I was talking about, Dr. McCready, and can't think of the guy. Anyway, um, that they both came to the conclusion that the physical heart is sentient, the same way that our brain is. And we really don't have a problem thinking about our brain thinking. And the brain is just an organ. You can take it out of the body and sit it over there and go, oh, look, it's physical. How is it possible for this lump to actually think? And we don't even give it a thought, do we? But you say, well, the physical heart also thinks, and we're like, oh my gosh, how is that possible? It's just a muscle, it just pumps. Well, more and more research is coming out showing that the heart is actually the producer of an electromagnetic field. This electromagnetic field that the heart produces is 40 times greater than the electromagnetic field that the brain produces. And what you are feeling, your emotions affect the quality of that electromagnetic field. A
Mhm.
lot of people really like being around horses because horses' hearts, when they're at peace, emits a huge electromagnetic field, and you can get in that electromagnetic field and synchronize with it, and you feel peace. So
Wow.
that's a real, if you love the equines and you have access to happy horses, it's really good for you to go, synchronize with their heart field because it tends to be very large and very steady and very calming. So,
Interesting.
yeah, it is interesting, isn't it?
And so,
So
also, just wanted to point out you were talking about lev. The word lev means heart in the Hebrew. That actually plays into the word Levites also as
how
well.
does it? Oh,
Yes.
interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
part
don't know exactly all the ins and outs of that, but I had someone share that with me the other day, and I was like, that kind of makes sense. And I will say also, when you were ministering to me, I could actually hear my heart speak.
It
And
does.
so, yeah, like you're saying, we don't think in those terms. And I was like, hey, like it's got something to say. Anyways, I'll turn it back to
Yeah,
you.
and it has its own language. But before we go down that road, I want to backtrack a little bit and say, in our culture, we read our culture into the Bible. So when we read heart, and you can even just go online and Google, what does the Bible mean about heart? And it'll say, oh, it's the center of your being. Oh, it's your emotions. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's love. It's all these things. And that happened back in the 1800s when a philosophical uh, viewpoint became popular called rationalism. And rationalism uh, stated the belief that only what you can physically observe is real. So it actually was kind of a stab at any kind of supernatural, spiritual awareness. And rationalism permeated our schools, it's permeated our pulpits. So, and with it came, if you believe in spiritual experiences, if you believe in anything outside of uh, the five senses, what can be, sort of the scientific method comes out of that. So intuition, anything like that, all of that's superstition. Well, nobody
Mhm.
wants to be considered superstitious because then you're stupid. So the pulpits became very focused on the logic and the dry word, and they begin to push away experiential Christianity, which pushes away our individual relationship with God and with the supernatural realm.
Yeah.
So that's what we've inherited as Western Christian believers. So when I talk about the heart, most people are going to think my feelings. Oh, my heart aches, and I'm not saying you don't. The heart doesn't ache. Sometimes it does, but what I'm talking about, for the sake of healing and the sake of freedom, for the purpose of being able to have a warm, intimate relationship with God
Mhm.
and the possibility of having it with other people, I'm going to be mildly optimistic about that because it takes two, right?
Mhm.
Um, then we need to learn to understand that I'm being triggered and driven by what I believe here. And the scripture is very, very clear that what we believe here determines the outcome of our life. Proverbs 4:23. Guard your heart above all else because it determines the course of your life. That's a pretty huge observation when to say above all else. I mean, above my spirit, above my mind, above, yeah, all of it,
Yeah.
all of it. So So right there, that just and one other thing is the brain is never mentioned in the Bible, and we do a whole lot of brain science, and we do a whole lot of
Hmm.
the way the brain thinks, and there's been a real focus on that. And I think that also is an outlay of rationalism, and this has been ignored. And I think it's been ignored not because it isn't worthy of scientific study, just like the brain is, but because we have changed the meaning of the word heart to something metaphorical. So once it becomes something metaphorical, then because of our rational way of thinking, we immediately discount it as important. So, you fill the Valentine cards out with hearts and cupids
Well,
and
exactly. Going back to what you were saying earlier before, is we tend to read the Bible with our cultural bias and stuff like that. I
reading.
feel that many people today, they one have their own version of love, of what they think it is, may not necessarily be what the Bible is. There's um, different versions of.
Again, emotions, or you're meeting my needs,
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
not
And
meeting
so
my needs, so I don't love you anymore, right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so society tends to you know uh, connect their ideas of love to the heart. And in my opinion, I believe that will tend to then equate that with emotion. And so now I have different thoughts on that, but I'd like to ask you, in your experience in working with the heart, do you find the heart is emotional? Is it the center of our emotions?
Well, I don't think, I mean, I think people will say that, but biblically, every aspect of the human being is capable of having emotions. If you look at God, you'll see that God's soul becomes angry. Um, I cover these scriptures in the Quiet Heart, just the first book in the Heart series. So
Yes, read it.
right, and I do cover that your soul has emotions, your mind has emotions, your spirit has emotions. We bear the image of God. And if you look at scripture, you'll see that in each aspect of our being having emotions, God is having emotions in those aspects of his being.
Mhm.
So does the heart react emotionally? Personally, I don't think so any more than the brain reacts emotionally. But do we feel emotions when we tap into what we believe in our hearts? Yeah,
Mm, very
real
well put.
big, really big. So the heart will store unresolved emotions,
Mm,
and when we tap into, oh, the reason that bad thing happened is because I'm worthless. I'm worthless because, I'm the reason. But if they cared about me, they would help me. They don't ever help me. Why don't they help me? They don't help me because I'm worthless. Well, all the emotion of that when you first believed it is going to come pouring out when you tap into what's stored in your heart.
yes, I believe myself that in Genesis 26, we see the first uh, time that the word heart is used, and that's when uh, God tells Abraham, sacrifice your son. So I see there's a lot of things going on in that particular picture, and we tend to simplify it because I believe that we should let the Bible define, what love is. But again, I tend to think that people kind of
Oh,
run with
yeah.
what they want it to be themselves. Like, again, all the Valentine's Day, all that type of stuff. And so, but thank you for sharing that. That's really good. Um, Anything you
Language.
want to add to
Yeah.
that?
Well, you had your actual question as I go tearing off in 10 different directions
Oh, you're
was
fine.
about the language of the heart, right? How do
Yes.
we recognize when our heart is talking versus our mind, which generally, or our soul or our spirit, they all have voices. As you heal, you're going to find that you're hearing fewer and fewer disconnected voices
Mm.
because over the years, as I've healed, I have found that I generally hear one voice. If I hear another voice, then start asking questions. Okay, so the voice of the heart is once you know, it's easy to recognize because it speaks in absolutes. So if I am, let's say something triggers me, let's say my husband didn't help me when I needed him to help me, and I'm feeling really upset. And what comes out of my mouth is something along the lines, nobody ever helps me. So listen to that language. It's nobody ever. That's absolute language. It's not, I'm not saying, which I could say with my mind, well, Sam isn't going to help me this time for whatever reason. It could be he's doing something else, um, and will help me later. See, I'm in my right mind, think like that. But if I have unresolved trauma because when I was a child, perhaps I was neglected and didn't get the help that I needed, at that point in my life, my heart is going to try to make sense out of the fact that these parents who are supposed to cherish me are not cherishing me. They're neglecting me. So there must be something wrong with me. So maybe I just am, if you're a guy, it's usually I'm just not enough. I'm not what they want. And if you're a girl, it's generally I'm worthless and I'm not what they want. I'm either too much or not enough. So
Mhm.
that's just sort of a overall general belief that because of the fall, we all pretty much tap into when we're children. The bad thing is happening because there's something wrong with me. I don't know what it is, but I guess I just don't matter or I'm worthless. Well, see, the heart likes that. And here's why. And the heart is not your enemy. They talk about the heart being desperately sick. It's desperately sick because it's full of these, it believes the wrong thing. The heart is not a deep thinker. The heart is designed by God to stabilize us in one perception of reality. So confusion is anathema to the heart. And when you are in confusion, that heart is trying to find an answer to stop the confusion. And the heart is not capable of being concerned about whether the answer it comes up with hurts you. It just stops the confusion. So if me deciding that the reason I had a horrible birth experience from personally, and I was profoundly rejected by my mother in the womb. So when I was born, I and the birth experience was very cold and unloving, and I decided the reason that my mother didn't want me is because I am worthless. Even these people are treating me as if I'm worthless. Me coming into the world means nothing.
Mhm.
So that solved the problem of why my mother rejected me. Do you see how it put a stop to the confusion?
Yes.
Now we have an answer. And my heart is like, okay, we have an answer. Yay.
And that's kind of what
Right.
happened with me. And so, okay, I'm a minister. I'm doing, what I believe he wants me to be doing. And, I'm ministering to all these other people and, helping them with their stuff. But yet, it's not like my life was horrible. But deep
Right.
with me, I was just like, there's still something here that I'm missing. And when you were ministering to me, it came down to this hard belief that I did not know what was there. And so, you think I might know because I'm ministering to all these others. And
I
so,
know, but it's hidden.
yeah, it was hidden. I got blindsided totally. And I thank Father for leading me down this path. And so,
So what
uh,
was it? We all want to know. What
yeah,
was your
I know
heart?
exactly. I'm building suspense here.
Okay, okay. I mean, I'm over here just on the edge of my seat because I don't remember.
So what it came down to me, like you were talking about with the guys, is like I'm not enough. It's this. It led me down this performance orientation, like, and so, and we'll get into it in a moment, a little bit. In our session, we actually were going bouncing back between my human spirit and my heart,
Yeah, yeah.
and led me to these beliefs that I did not know was there at all. That was driving me, and so obviously my human spirit didn't tell me about that, and so um, that's why it was so profound to me. And so we found that there was this actually a generational, a tribal heart belief that I inherited. And my
Right.
heart was spitting out these answers, just, very simply, calmly, just like, here's what the problem is. And I'm like, that's my
That's
heart.
it.
And
And back to the language issue and why that's important is once your heart believes something, it believes it absolutely. So when I believed that the reason my mother didn't want me is because I'm worthless, my heart absolutely 100% unshakably believed it.
Mhm.
Now, that's the nature of the heart, which is a good thing if it's believing the right thing, right? I mean, if I believe unshakably that God loves me and that I'm acceptable to Him and that He cherishes me, whoo, that's great, right? I used to sing this song. It's funny, I used to sing this song called when I was a kid called "Everybody Hates Me, Nobody Likes Me. I Think I'm Gonna Eat Worms." Have you ever heard that song?
I've never
I
heard.
don't know where on earth that came from, but
Some
I
of those
used to
nursery rhymes are horrible.
yeah,
Yes.
I used to go around singing that, and for some reason, some months back, it came to my mind again. Only this time, it was "Everybody Likes Me, Everybody Loves Me. Think I'm Gonna Be Glad" was the way that I was singing it because
Yeah.
God was saying there's been a profound shift in what you believe about
Mhm.
yourself, and with my worthlessness being a foundational heart belief. That's just a huge step forward into being able to enjoy being with God and not being afraid that somehow He's mad at me or I have to perform for His approval or He's going to look at me and go, none of that. Uh, so, what you believe in your heart determines how you perceive God. So, it acts like a filter. It also determines how you're going to perceive the important man in your life and the important woman in your life, because those are built on how the kinds of experiences you have with your parents. But more than that, because I don't want people to start thinking, "Oh, I'm a victim of my childhood." I want to shift over to, it's not what happens to us, it's what we believe about what happens to us, and it's not what we believe up here. I've done the forgiveness and I've done this and I'm repenting, and it's still, I can't get over it. It's because your heart's not letting you get over it, because the heart believes absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, whatever it is it believes. So that's why you want to listen to that language when you're, particularly if you're tired and upset and stressed. You're going to hear the words nobody, everybody, no matter what, every time. No matter how hard I try, nothing ever works out. Nobody loves me. It's never just some people don't love me and some people do. It's because the heart doesn't reason
Mm.
like mine does. And one thing that those researchers discovered, which is kind of really interesting and Bible affirming, is that we think that if we renew our minds, and I'm all about renewing the mind, I do it, but and I have done it for years. We think that if we renew our minds, that somehow that's going to change the outcome.
Mhm.
The problem with that is that the brain does not affect the heart. The heart actually trains the brain in what to expect.
Wow.
So we have it backwards.
So are you saying, does our heart have a moral compass? Does it know?
No, it's neutral, just like the brain.
Mm.
Like your kidneys are neutral, your eyeballs are neutral. They're not good, bad. They're just, I mean, where they're good in the sense that God created them and they're very useful. But as far as being morally good or morally bad, they're neutral. Your heart is neutral, but what can fill the heart can be filled with evil. And in my opinion, that evil is believing things that are evil or just against God or against the image of God that you are.
One of the things that you explained in your book, the performing heart, in both of them actually, quiet heart, is
Yeah.
yes,
This
yeah,
is this is the second in the series. I love this book. I love them
yes.
both. But
Started
particularly love it.
this orientation. I still need to dig down into that book. I've kind of started it. I'm just like,
Oh, we're all performance oriented, no we? It's just a
yes,
matter of degree.
yes.
Yeah, but you can catch yourself and begin to go, wait a minute here, why do I need to show off? And sometimes it's fun to show off, as long as you know what you're doing. I hate the chains that we wrap around ourselves. Um, I Sam and I, my husband and I laugh about this. There's times when you just want to show off. But the point isn't the motive isn't to give to somehow hide what you believe about yourself.
Hmm.
A lot of performance orientation is just us trying to convince ourselves and other people that we have value. Because what's under performance orientation is worthlessness, shame.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what we believe here.
Yes.
Anyway, sorry, I derailed you, my friend.
No, you're fine. And so with my heart, like you said, I was trying to work on my mind. I'm trying to do scripture. I'm trying to do all this stuff. My heart was still like, no. And because you're like, you told me that's not how you deal with heart beliefs. You can't deal with it from the mind.
This is foundational. And I think, and Jesus said, dig deep. You got to dig deep and lay a foundation. So the heart, and the scripture says, and it's Psalm 62, that these evil spirits come together and they plot against us. They plot against the innocent. What's more innocent than a baby in the womb, right? They plot against us as we come into the world, and they shoot with words that are like arrows, and they
Mm-hmm.
aim the heart. The scripture says, go read Psalm 62, because the heart of man goes deep.
Wow. Yes. Why did I not know, as a minister, why did I not know that heart belief was there? Can you elaborate?
And you had really done, you had really been crying out to God, what is the problem here? So
Yeah.
why was that hidden? Well, the number one reason it's hidden is because it's painful.
Mm.
And when we come to when our heart says, okay, the reason Noe, I'll just throw this out because I really don't remember the details of our ministry session, but um, Noe came into the world, into a generational line that already believed it was worthless, or it didn't have what it took to be admired. Oh, now I'm beginning to remember. It didn't have what it took for other people to value its gifts. That was it.
Yes.
So they weren't good enough, and what they brought into the world wasn't good enough. So they just didn't have what it takes to be important in the eyes of other fallen people, although that isn't how the heart thinks. So so what the heart decided was the reason that we're experiencing this rejection is because we just don't have what they want, and what we bring isn't good enough. And then the heart says, okay, that solves the problem. We know why. Stops confusion. But what replaces the confusion is tremendous emotional pain.
Mm-hmm.
Because the heart believes so absolutely, it's like, this is not what I do. This is who I am. This worthlessness, this lack is woven into my very essence and being. There's no escaping it.
Yeah, it really drives us, and we don't even see it. Yes.
So the pain is so tremendous that we begin to layer vows to never remember the pain, to never go there, to never feel it, to not think it, to not know it, to hide it, to keep it secret. So we're saying, because of the pain, we're trying to manage the pain by pushing it away and covering it up.
Mm-hmm.
So we begin to take what I call blocking vows, and the vows block access to what we really believe. I take a vow, I'm never going to go there. I'm not going to remember. I'm not going to feel it. I'm not going to see it, hear it, know it. I'm going to hide it. I'm going to keep it secret. I'm not going to I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to be the person that doesn't have enough and lacks. And those become vows, and they lay on top of what the heart believes. So if I try to access that, what I believe, those vows activate. And I believe that demonic entities attach to our vows.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you try to go to, well, Lord, why is it that I just feel like I don't ever do enough? Then these evil spirits will come along, or they may already be there attached to the vows, and amplify the pain so that you push it away. You try to get close to it. The pain, the confusion is another one. Comes pouring up. So you try to push it away. You can't stand the confusion. So you back away from it and you don't dig into it. Or they just hide it from you. So it's hidden. It's deep in the heart, and it's just hidden. And the vows are what hide it. And the vows are an attempt to manage pain. And they're their attempt for a child to manage the pain.
And there's so many vows. And Ecclesiastes 5 says, God says, hey, if you make a vow, you will do it. And a lot of times we don't, like you said, pay attention to the wording. I got caught in a trap the other day, um, in a session where I was saying something. I thought I was being humble and stuff like that. And this particular phrasing, like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to trust God. And the enemy actually used that against me. I didn't intend it
I
that
don't
way,
know
but they
what
used
I am
it against me.
doing. Yeah, that would, yeah.
Yeah, that one
It's
backfired.
possible that's a heart belief, you know.
Yes.
I'm the boy who doesn't know what he's doing, which would lead to because I am, well, I just don't have the brains, or I just don't have,
Yeah.
so I don't, again, back to the original foundational belief, I don't have what it takes. What I have isn't good enough. I
Yeah.
lack. It
Yes.
takes other flavors, but it's always, once you find that foundational heart belief, just about everything builds out of it. Not all, not everything, but a lot. Most things build out of it.
Yes.
Same with
All
your generational heart belief system. Same thing. If you can find that foundational belief of the actual people group that you are descended from, then
mhm.
you'll find that the behaviors that you look at them go, oh dang, they're drunks, they're thieves, they're this, they're that, they're failures, or what have you, or they're driven to succeed, but they're never happy. It really doesn't matter. You look at it and you see the sin. What you're seeing is the fruit of what the people believe, and when you see your sin, you're seeing the fruit of what you believe.
And
So
that
if
was
you
one.
don't deal with what you believe, you just deal with the fruit, you're not going to resolve your problem.
And that was one of the truth bombs that you threw out there. And I was like, and it hit me hard. And I'm like, that makes sense. I'm like, as deliverance ministers, sanctification ministers, we're dealing most of the times with fruit. How is it manifesting? And you were like, yeah, you kind of need to deal with that, but it's really the root, the heart root that's driving all that, even though it may come out in different ways for different people. And it just, that statement right there landed hard for me.
John Sanford said it this way. Now, he's the founder of Elijah House Ministries, and in my opinion, the apostle of the inner healing
Mm-hmm,
movement that we have today. He
mm-hmm,
said that you can't kill a tree by picking the fruit. So you have to go for the root.
yeah.
And the root is, what do you believe here? That's
Mm-hmm,
so painful, you have to hide from it. And what are
mm-hmm,
you doing to, after you put your blocking vows in place? So I'm just not going to feel that or be that person or remember that or ever go there. Once you have those in place, then you're going to try to mitigate the pain by becoming somebody who isn't that person. So you may become very high performance, but your motive isn't right. The motive
yes.
of art is to escape pain in those instances. The reason that I wanted to be a famous writer, when I can remember just as a little kid, I was going to grow up and be a famous writer. And I started writing as a child, but my motive, because my mother would give me books and take me to the library, and she really, she had me reading Shakespeare when I was 9 years old, and just I know crazy stuff, all the Greek mythologies,
Mhm.
Emily Dickinson's poetry, which blew my mind, and just all kind, Edgar Allan Poe. I just read some really crazy stuff as a kid, but she would give me these books to read, and so I thought if I could just be a famous writer, then she would love me.
Mhm.
So what was my motive behind being a writer was what I was trying to earn my mother's love. And so my motive was wrong. And God never really blessed it until I realized that the reason I wanted to write was not because I wanted to help his people or even
Mhm.
write a good story. It was because I thought if I just could be good enough, if I could make her happy, if I could make her admire me, then maybe she would love me. And once I realized that, I thought, well, this is silly. She's either going to love me or she's not. And I have no control over that.
Mhm.
And that gave me, believe it or not, a lot of peace.
Yes. Yeah. Well, speaking of that, because one of the things that we dealt with my heart, and you actually asked my heart, is this